How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. I think BlackRock just played a 200 IQ move, and a lot of people don't understand what's actually happening with the market right now. With Bitcoin falling down to $60,000, a lot of people are freaked out. But if you've been around this market long enough, if you understand BlackRock's true goal, I think you can understand why this is really beneficial to BlackRock. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this. If you want to trade crypto, I did open a couple long positions here today. You can check out the link underneath the video to Margex. There you can trade all different forms of collateral. So for example, you can trade the Bitcoin chart with Caspa as collateral, or ETH, or Solana, or Bitcoin, or USDT, which allows you to gain more of that collateral asset. You can also trade a bunch of other crypto assets as well, but you can start as well with no VPN, and you don't have to KYC, meaning you don't have to give a bunch of your personal information. Check their terms and conditions. There's a link underneath the video. Also a link to CoinW as well. They're doing a bit of an airdrop for our channel. Now, as we can see here, Bitcoin fear and greed is spiking. 34. We are now in fear. A lot of people freaking out. Obviously, there's some selling, right? There's some people being liquidated, and then there's some selling, causing us to go down pretty significantly. If you look over the last few days, look at this. 70,000. A week later, we're at 60,000. Just 2 days ago, we fell from 65 all the way to 61. Then we're kind of bouncing around some support here at 60,000. Obviously, a lot of people, like I said, freaked out. I did a video earlier talking about the BlackRock warning, unprecedented Fed warning after $300 billion Bitcoin and crypto price crash. Basically saying, hey, well, I saw some people talk about this on Twitter, but it was from a month and a half ago. And in this article, it's an analyst at BlackRock saying that maybe central banks will be forced to keep interest rates high and higher than pre-pandemic to tackle the persistent inflation pressures. Okay, this is just one analyst coming from BlackRock. And again, this is a month and a half ago, but what happened? Well, the Fed pretty much said the opposite, that they're going to cut. Now the market's pricing in even more cuts than they were a few days ago because of lower job numbers. And actually, we do have some important economic data coming this week. We have, actually not this week, the week after. Of course, every week we have some important data, but the week after this week, we have core PPI, we have core CPI, we have more earnings as well. As of course, last week was probably the biggest week for earnings, with a lot of significant tech companies announcing earnings. But we have Uber, Airbnb, so travel related companies. We have Shopify, which gives some indication of smaller businesses, and Robinhood, which tells people like, okay, how much are retail investors really trading? But what I think is happening behind the scenes is what's so fascinating. Have you noticed that today is a weekend? Of course you have, right? You know that. Also, if we look here, June 29, we had a big drop. That was about a week ago. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it was last Sunday. We've seen to have some pretty rough days during the weekend. Obviously, BlackRock has been buying a lot of Bitcoin during the week, but it's closed on the weekend, so their investors are protected. Now, it's not anything that they've done necessarily to protect them, because they just don't have access to the funds. They can't panic sell. But I was thinking about this. What is the best case scenario for BlackRock? Well, obviously, they create an ETF. There's a bit of a dip, so they can get everyone in the first 3 or 4 days, and then they start pushing up the price. So the first tranche of investors are very happy, right? They're up 50%. Then what else is what is the next best thing after you've pushed up the price? Well, you chop around. You make sure all your investors, and they do push investors. They have videos explaining how they kind of have to force people to do certain things. That was with ESG, buying certain ESG related companies, but I think they're forcing people, or pushing them very hard to buy Bitcoin, because they are consistently buying Bitcoin day after day after day. We're talking about tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars a day, when other ETFs are selling or doing nothing. And what is good for them? Well, obviously, buy a bunch of Bitcoin, buy it off the market, be the person that beats the drum, change politics, make everyone believe in Bitcoin. But you chop around for a while. So the retail investor, the one that you're not really targeting, like BlackRock, sure, they get some retail investors. They get some people that will buy their ETF through Fidelity. I've done that before, just like through a retirement account or something. But a lot of even those investors, I think, are a little bit longer term than someone like buying crypto from Coinbase or something. Maybe a little bit less degen, right? You chop around for months. Those people have a long-term vision, right? Maybe hedge funds that are looking towards the end of the year, like, hey, we just care about the end of the year return. And we can deal with 4 or 5 months of back and forth, because honestly, even if you time this, it's still a pretty good return. Like if you buy at 56 and then it goes up to 70, you can take a little bit of profit and you still can show a good return. But you chop around for a while so that you can get more people in, you can gain more exposure. And really, I mean, think about BlackRock, right? What are their goals? They want to own a lot of the assets that are going to be important in the future. They want to keep their very wealthy clients very happy. And how do you do that? You give them outsized returns. So you get them into stuff like this back at 30, at 25, which they had private funds set up for the very wealthy a year and a half ago. 6 months ago, they opened it up for more wealthy individuals around 40. Now we're at 60, so still a good return. So you keep those people happy. They keep on coming back to you with more money, like, hey, where should I put this now? And then you continue to shape the industry that you're putting a lot of money in. You continue to push it higher and higher so that you can get more and more fees, right? Bitcoin at 60,000 is great. You have Connor, how much Bitcoin do they have? 350,000 Bitcoin?
BlackRock?
Yeah. So $20 billion? No, 200 billion? You have billions and billions and billions of dollars. Let's actually do the math. All right. Let's say 350,000 times $65,000 per Bitcoin. I mean, we're talking about 22.7 billion times a fee of 0.0025%. Okay, so they're making $57 million a year. Okay, fantastic, right? That's a lot of cash flow, honestly. That's a lot of it's going down to their bottom line. But then you double the price of Bitcoin, you make instead of 8 figures, you make 9 figures. And then you continue pushing up the price. You continue putting it in more and more ETFs, which they're going to do. They're talking about putting it into more and more, what do they call it? Model portfolios. So then you start making double fees from it. And you're okay with this volatility. This volatility is good because it shakes other people out and allows you to swallow up a lot. Because honestly, if you look at how much they have in AUM, we're talking $10 trillion. I don't even need to do the numbers. $10 trillion. If you really believe in Bitcoin, which I think they do, you probably want a 2 or 3% allocation to it. I realize that they don't necessarily invest for their clients, but they do make a lot of the portfolios, right? So they can just add Bitcoin in if they wanted. So you add 2 or 3% allocation, that's $200 to $300 billion worth of Bitcoin. That's 10 times what they have right now. But they can't do that because there's not enough liquidity. Right now, they're swallowing up as much Bitcoin as they can. Every single dip, when we pump, they buy. When it falls, they buy. And they continue to do this. Now, if we just move up to 100,000 right now, there's not much liquidity. There aren't going to be people there will be some people that want to sell, but there will be a lot of new buyers that come in and try to swallow up Bitcoin, and it won't let them get their clients as much as they prefer. I mean, right now they have a 0.2% allocation to Bitcoin. 0.2 in their portfolio. So I think that they are influencing change. And Whitney Webb, I mentioned Whitney Webb in the title, right, of this video. I posted a couple of videos about her recently. If you haven't seen them, check them out. Just put in my financial friend, Whitney Webb. She talks about the deep state. She talks about the wealthy individuals, the politicians, and gives more context to what they really want. And she's laid this out before in what's to come, which it's a little bit freaky if you haven't seen some of these videos. Again, just go watch them. She, I think, does a really good job of looking at the deep state. And yeah, like I said, it does get a bit dark, but go watch some of this stuff. Let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video. Do you think BlackRock is behind the scenes trying to force behavior, trying to force people out of their Bitcoin and then back in? I will say, they don't do as much FUD as I've seen other news stations, right? Where some people, like Jim Cramer, they're bullish on something, they're bearish on something, they're bullish on something, they're bearish on something. And I think, if BlackRock really wanted to influence a lot of people to freak out, they just say that they don't really believe in Bitcoin anymore, and then they come back and say that they do, but they lose so much credibility. So I think they're making the smart long-term play. You get behind something, maybe you talk about it a little bit less when the market falls down, and then you talk about it a lot as it goes up, and a little bit less, and then you continue to get people to freak out. You continue to see liquidation events, and you continue to be able to swallow up more Bitcoin. Let me know your thoughts, though. Thank you so much. If you want to trade crypto, like I said, there is a link underneath the video to Margex. You can start trading in a few seconds. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all in the next one.